is Chris Berman. How are you, Chris?
Hi, Rich. Well, we knew at the time you'd be our John Hancock, So, yeah, we had to say sign him. Once you've done a show, you're one of us. Even though, what have you done since you've left ESPN? I've lost track of you. I'm kidding.
Oh, man. I'm trying to just keep up pace. That's all. I'm just trying to keep up pace.
You work hard. It's much appreciated and duly noted. How are you? Good?
I'm fine. How have you been? You good?
Great. This is kind of, out of a little hibernation for me. But the Home Run Derby is which is tonight, as you know, is always, it's a blast because it makes new fans for baseball every year. We don't think so as lifetime fans, but I run into so many 7, 8, 9, 10, 12-year-olds. The home run, there's not rules. It's a homer or it's an out. You know what I mean? And it's a lot of folks get hooked on baseball with this thing tonight, not because I do it, but just because of the Home Run Derby. And I respect that. I think of that every year when I get to do this.
Oh, Chris, I've got, my son's about to turn 7. I've got almost a 4.5-year-old son tonight, and they're going to be watching. I'm putting them right in front of the TV set, and I'm just hoping these guys, just keep jacking them out of the yard. I hope that happens.
Well, they should. It's Cincinnati. The ball travels.
Right.
It's a humid day here. What a shock in July in the Midwest.
That's right.
And, it's a home run park, and we have – my goodness, every year, we have between Albert Pujols and Prince Fielder who, live on the home run. Albert, one of 6 to hit 500 homers. And, in the L.A. area, he's back, And so the veterans, and then we got young kids like, Jock Peterson and the Cubs pair and Bryant and Rizzo and Manny Machado. You have kind of the new breed and the old guard of baseball, and a couple guys in the middle, which are Todd Frazier, the Cincy third baseman, who, of course, will be buoyed by the crowd big time, and Josh Donaldson, who's a classic, linebacker playing third base, pitch me the ball, let me hit homers. So it's kind of a cross-section of what baseball players are, a couple in their 30s and a couple later in their 20s who have made a mark, and a few kids that we're just starting to get to know. I'm looking forward to it.
Who's doing it with you tonight? Who's sitting next to you?
Well, we're going to have Aaron Boone and John Kruk, and Aaron Boone with the last homer at Riverfront. There's a little known
there you go. There's a nugget.
Stat. Not that that's why he's doing. He's a mainstay on our baseball with Krucky, and Carl's going to call some the baseball tonight set, and so it'll be a cornucopia. But then again, we hope we have a cornucopia of home runs. Good word for Scrabble.
I like the cornucopia. I'm here with Chris Berman on the Rich Eisen show. I used to do the, reporting during the Home Run Derby where you'd throw to me and I'd talk to the guy who just took his at-bats. I'll never forget one of the guys that did it with you, Tony Gwynn. He did it with you, I think, a couple of times. He did it with you in Milwaukee. It was the first time he did it. And talk about humid. He made the mistake of going French blue on the shirt. You could see every single sweat stain the entire time, and we were giving Tony grief. I'd love to just give you the floor about the guys that you've done it with, Hall of Famers, future Hall of Famers, somebody like Tony Gwynn, Chris. I remember that.
Well, Tony, the late Tony Gwynn was one of I covered while he was, I figure I covered his whole career and got to know him really well, and we all miss him. There was nobody more genuine and just loved playing baseball, and my memory of Tony, which is not really where you were going in it. By the way, there were a few years when in the postseason, when we used to do the postseason here at ESPN, it was myself, Rick Sutcliffe, and Tony Gwynn, and we thought we were bigger than the Chargers' offensive line, the three of us, But look, I sweat as much, if not as like Tony did. I can sweat in an igloo, but Tony was, my favorite memory of him. It's an all-star memory, Rich.
Sure.
And yes, we did the Home Run Derby together and worked together, but it was '94. And the reason I bring that up is that was no World Series that year, so the All-Star game was kind of that ended up being the only signature national event of it. Yeah, we had the Home Run Derby. Before that, it was in Pittsburgh, I think. And I think that was Griffey's first one that he won. But remember, Tony scored the run in the bottom of the 12th, was it? 11th, 12th of the National League. It was like a little kid rounding the bases, scoring in the National League One. And it was like, wow, if this is what a veteran like this – baseball means to him. This late, all-star game. My God, it's the 12th inning. His league won. It wasn't even home field at the time. It meant nothing except that they won. That's what we all should aspire to be. That's kind of my everlasting memory of Tony Gwynn, like a little kid crossing the plate.
Yeah, and Piazza also did these so many years. And, I mean, Chris, as you know, he's never been popped for PEDs, and he's still not in the Hall of Fame. Where do you stand on Piazza, Chris?
That's a loaded question, obviously, at the time. And what I will say will be, Rich, unpopular, and I get why it will be, and I'm saying this. First, I should say I don't vote. It's the writers, so I'm not a writer, although I think I write pretty well, but that has nothing to do with it. I think that Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens, I think they should go in. Now, I understand why many won't vote for them. I get it. But even if you think they did what they did, were they not great before we think things might have changed? There's my Bonds was a 3-time MVP. Roger won, 26. Cy Youngs. I know that's unpopular. Now, if those two go in, then I don't know where we go after that. Mm-hmm. But you hear my reasoning on those two. I'm not saying you should or shouldn't agree. I'm not saying anybody should or shouldn't agree. I think those two, if I were voting, which I'm not, I would vote yes. However unpopular that may be, I don't know where you think of my logic there.
No,
the rest I don't know.
I always point out that McGwire, his home run record as a rookie still stands today, and he was pencil thin when he came up. He had 49 home runs as a rookie. Nobody's ever done that.
Well, but these two guys would go first, and then
I know.
Then I'd have to really think about it, So, and at Piazza, I have no idea. I loved working with Mike. Mm-hmm. He was one that did 2 home run derbies and had 10 6-3s, 10 grounders to short twice. And he goes, I'm not doing that anymore. And He came in the booth with us and became just a blast with us. And I did playoffs with him. And so I don't have any of the information on what I think or what didn't. But to answer your question, the short form, those two guys, yes, to me, although I get why many would choose not to vote for them, and I don't know how you feel about that.
Chris Berman joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show tonight. He will be at the mic once again for the Home Run Derby. I would be remiss if I didn't give you the floor on Ken Stabler. Chris, the passing of the snake and the Raiders. I'd love to just get your thoughts on the memory about Kenny Stabler.
Well, clutch quarterback. It's been said John Madden coached him. As you know, this will be my 29th year with Tom Jackson, who only played against those Raiders, 24 times or whatever the number is. And he told me when we started to work, he goes, best clutch quarterback I ever played against. Now, Montana was still playing, and he said, I actually, a couple of years in, he said to me, Rich, he goes, I actually can't believe he's not in the Hall of Fame. Well, Tom played against him 24 times or whatever the number is, and I always took that to heart. So it was a guy that maybe wasn't picture perfect when you watched, maybe drew some plays up in the dirt or just said, oh, come on, let's just go, but always delivered. I know he had great teams, but he was accurate as heck, much more than he ever got credit for. And if you talk to the Hall of Famers like Fred Biletnikoff and his teammates, Dave Casper, and like I said, like Tommy, clutch, to me, that's way up there in how you define a great quarterback, Rich. And the Snake did it his way. He was almost not a cartoon character, but a different sort. But he was a throwback. I'm not old enough to really remember Bobby Lane playing, for example, or there was a little Namath in him, but it was the Southern. There was just this swagger, but not bravado with Kenny Stabler, and he almost always delivered. And we'll miss him. He was one of a kind as a person. I only met him a few times, and as a football player, one of the many that has passed away too young.
Chris Berman joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. Before I let you go, Chris, would you mind giving my on-air colleagues a Berman nickname? This would be crowning achievements for them. Would you mind if I just threw the name out there and you just spitball the best you can?
Well, I haven't, had a beer yet, so we'll see.
Okay, so the first is Chris Brockman. Chris Brockman, he's from Maine. He's a New Englander. I don't know if that, but he's...
Sometimes it helps. I mean,
Okay.
it's kind of, see, again, I'm going to go music old, and
Go for
maybe it was Greg Brock. I used to, Crocodile Brockman,
Okay.
or... So we could go somewhere that direction. Again, this is all a quick...
Oh, sure.
This is like the lightning round, right? With fast
It's the lightning round.
Well,
Points are doubled.
It's like the home run derby tonight. This
That's
is
right.
time limit. I get it.
Yeah. So I like Chris Crocodile Brockman. I like that.
I like it.
Nice.
All right. So next one is Chris. This should be simple. His last name is Law. Chris Law. He's a Philadelphia guy, Penn State guy. Chris Law.
Well, it could be too long. Again, it's a rock and roll song.
Sure.
Probably I Fought the Law and the Law won.
Okay.
I mean, you could go there. Otherwise, it could be pick your favorite or not favorite type of law and insert,
Okay. Chris Law and Order. You could do
sure.
that.
Or usually, or something, what's your favorite type of law practice or not favorite? Real estate law, that wouldn't be
Chris
sexy,
Malpractice Law.
Malpractice law. There you go.
And here's the last one. He's a New Jersey guy, Mike Del Tufo.
Del Tufo?
Yes, sir.
Let's see. We don't like to split the name.
Okay.
So I wouldn't go Del Shannon Tufo. Again, you got me in a rock and roll day. Old Tufo. Del Tartufo.
I like it. I like it.
The rule is usually the rule, which of course I'm the only one that wrote the rule book. I usually don't try to split up a last name, so
Okay.
it could be Farmer in the Del Tufo.
I like it.
That kind of is, or Del Tartufo. One of the two. You make
Okay.
the call. How's that?
I will do that. Hey,
And you're Betty Davis Eisen.
I know. Or you also gave me Kaleidoscope Eisen.
Well, that's right, because there was Jody Betty Davis eyes,
That's
So, Kaleidoscope Eisen. So keep it. See, I forget some of the ones that I've bestowed. I'm old now. I'm 60, man.
Hey, Chris, you are the man. Thanks. Have a great time tonight. You
All
always
right,
do.
Rich. Nice talking with you, and best of the family, all right?
Same here. See you in Canton.
I look forward to it.
You bet. That's Chris Berman.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern. On Audience.